you. So when I stop, you'll come back on and give away my prizes. Hello,
Correct.
everyone. Thank you for joining us after a long day at work. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting home tired. I'm getting home tired, and I have mixes of online classes with physical kids, and now we had a case at school of COVID, so now I have kids that I had in class that are now online while I have the other kids in class. I'm tired. And so when we all went, my name is Bertha. I teach in Miami-Dade, but I'm also the director of the Teacher Institute for Evolutionary Science. And what we do is we help teachers teach evolution by giving you guys good resources and good content. And what my main thing is that, like, I don't want to go when I do rocks or when I do heat conduction, heat transfer, excuse me. I don't want to go picking, it's hard to go picking resources from all over the place. So what I'm going to show you is that I have a student guided unit and I have a teacher guided unit. They're very, very similar, where it's a PowerPoint, but it's not really a PowerPoint. I know that's kind of a bad word these days. It's a unit with every resource embedded in the PowerPoint. So if you cover the PowerPoint, you're covering your Florida standards for evolution, be it middle school or high school, and you're going to have online games, you're going to have movies, you're going to have hands-on stuff. So the first thing I'd like to do is share my screen. Everything is free, by the way. Everything is free. And by the way, this is what you'll be receiving. I'm asking Amy to pick 3 people, and you're going to get this book, which is a really wonderful book. So I'm going to ask you, once I know who you are, I'm going to ask you to share I'll share my email, and you can share your address with me, and I'll have it just sent directly to your homes. Okay. So this is my Teacher Institute. It was just me in Miami helping teachers here locally, but I got the backing of a major nonprofit, and that was in 2015. And since then, we have gone to, let me show you the map, all 50 US states. We've done over 200 workshops in all 50 US states. That means that I have over 80 presenters. I like Iowa teachers to present to Iowa teachers, or Colorado teachers to present to Colorado teachers. Right now, everything's online, so I'm kind of doing it all, but I feel like as a Florida teacher, I have a better understanding of what you all are going through. I'm going to show you, I'm going to start at the top and go to the bottom, but we're going to come back to this, which is the resources that I'm sharing with you today. But before that, let me also share the fact that we offer free webinars. These webinars, you can invite your students. Some of them are kind of harder for kids. For example, for middle school kids. So you would shoot me an email and say, hey, Bertha, the one with the Meet an Evolutionary Biologist, is that going to be okay for middle school kids? And I'll probably tell you, no, it's not. However, this one, Survival of the Friendliest, which is how human cooperation is what made us so successful as opposed to warfare and cruelty, that would have been perfect for middle school kids. He's also a dog scientist, so we all shared our dogs that day. It was really fun. We have a lot of things about, for example, the biology of human skin color and teaching biology with social justice in mind. We had the evolution of the coronavirus. Um, the author of the book you may be receiving did one for us. So all you have to do here is just check back here. We have a Facebook page as well, and you can see future webinars. Right now I'm reading a book called Friendship, and it's about how important friendship is to humans, and I'm going to invite that author to come and speak. Some of these are child friendly and some of them are not. So for example, there is a young lady named Bailey Harris who's written a series of books for children, and there's a board game for children. That was perfect for kids. As a matter of fact, I had my son present her. kids presenting kids. It was beautiful. But then, for example, everything you know about gender and sex is wrong. That's aimed more for teachers. Now I'm going to go back to the top, actually go back to the front page here, and go to see all resources. Now, if you click on that, by the way, the website is called tieseducation.org. It's really easy to get there, tieseducation.org. If you go to the teacher materials, that's where the big money is. I'm going to share these with you today. So first, let me drop down a little bit. Ready to go middle school evolution unit. That's everything you need to teach the middle school science standards, including the exam and everything else. Everything is free, everything you download, and these are all modifiable. Okay, so you could change the PowerPoint around or whatever. The only one, evolution exam, it leads you to email me because I don't want kids getting a hold of the exam and the answer key. So obviously I'm not posting that one online. And then everything else is divided by category. So first you have your hands-on investigations, natural selection, you have your online games, you have your videos, general resources there to the left. I know I'm scrolling really fast, I'm sorry. You have your evidence for evolution, your biogeography, your law of superposition. All the evidence for evolution is right there. And then something on human evolution, which is more of a high school standard, but you know, then we have everything in Spanish right here for Spanish speakers and some really cool interactive links for Spanish speakers. We have elementary school stuff as well. I'm going to run back to the top. Okay, so these are the two I'm gonna share with you now. When we went virtual in Miami-Dade, it was March 13th. The following week, I turned my units into student guided units because we were not meeting with the kids every day. And those units were downloaded within a month, 2,000 times. First, I was getting emails for people asking me to send them the units. And it got so crazy that I had to just create a form. And here's the form. Complete this form. I'm hovering over it. And if you fill this out, and I promise you, you will not get daily emails from me. You will never get an email from me other than the email with this stuff. I don't like getting emails like constantly from like whatever. So I don't do it to you. Here you click what you'd like, the middle school or the high school. And I have the response sheet that the students fill in for you. I have the exam. I have the answer key to the exam, the rubric and answer key to the actual unit. And you will get everything in both English and Spanish because it was hard for us to separate that. So if you don't need the Spanish one, you could delete it, but you'll get everything you need. So let me show you what the unit looks like. Let's start with the middle school. And it's very easy for me to tell you what is added to the high school resource. So this is where you would download the resource. These are PDFs. If you want the actual PowerPoint version so that you can play around with it and move things around, I will share my email with you before I leave today. And that way you can do that. Ta-da! It's taking a long time. Why is it doing that? This is like class. Haha. I have another way to skin this cat. I'm just going to go here. Guided lessons. Go to middle school. It's never happened to me before. It might be my internet here at home. You shouldn't have a problem opening it up. Okay. Here we go. Oh, it's open twice. So this is a guided lesson 6 through 8. This is just going to tell you that, you know, your teacher wants you to turn this in on a Google document, whatever, that kind of thing you'll take care of. And what I did was I put all the questions in red for you. So the first thing we need to get out of the way is this evolution is just a theory thing. That is such a misunderstood word. And to be honest, the book I'm reading on friendship So well researched, so well written. And there's a line in chapter 3 where she writes, well, the scientists came up with this idea that friendship could actually benefit your physical health, but it was just a theory. There was no evidence behind it. And I cringed because that makes our job so much harder. And we have to explain to the students that while out in the regular world, the word theory is used like, well, I have a theory that the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl this year. And that's okay. It's okay to use a word like that. But in science, it's a broad explanation for something that happens in nature. And no laws don't become theories and theories become laws. And no laws are not stronger than theories. They're different. Theories explain, laws describe. We have the laws of gravity, and then we have the theory of relativity, which explains gravity. I often ask my students when they say, well, it's just a theory, I say, do you want your doctor to wash his or her hands before doing surgery on you? And of course they say, well, yeah. And I say, but why? That's just the theory. It's the germ theory of disease. Or how about the fact the sun is the center of the solar system? That's just a theory. It's the heliocentric theory. So we need to make up and for the misunderstanding of that word. And scientists use it like, I have a theory, like all the time. And what they really mean is I have a hypothesis. That's what they mean. I don't know what we can do about this. I've been thinking lately of reaching out to scientists and biologists and stuff and seeing if we could do something about the way they throw that word around. Anyway, you click on here. Like I said, all the resources are in one place. You don't have to go to a pacing guide and find a bunch of different things. No, they're all right here in one place. So this is a video and they answer these 2 questions. These are great videos. They're called It's Okay to Be Smart. And he goes over what's a fact, what's a theory, what's a hypothesis, and what's a law. Now, I think the first thing kids should see is the big picture. What does evolution explain? If we're saying that theories explain, what does evolution explain? Evolution explains 2 things: the vast diversity of life we see on this planet, and that all this life descends from a common ancestor. Okay, that's what evolution explains. So now we're going to look at some beautiful websites. The first one I want to show you, and you click right from here. Okay, you don't have to go anywhere. The links are all embedded. I can't stress that enough, that I tried to make this as easy for you as possible. And if you guys can do this for me for like geology, which is what we're doing right now in 7th grade, I'd appreciate it, because I'm not very good at it, I'll tell you. I don't feel I'm doing a very good job in that class. So this is the first site, because look, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to Google the word evolution, or I'm just going to stick it in the search, and I'm going to go to images. Do you see that? Every darn picture is wrong. We call that the ladder of progress. This idea that, you know, that little chimp looking guy gets a little taller and is still hunched over and grows and grows and grows and grows. And then we have the human at the end, like the end all be all. This is a false understanding. This is not the way it is. So kids will say to you, well, I didn't evolve from a monkey. And you say, that's correct. You did not. That's like saying you evolved from your cousin. You both evolved, or let's say you both came from your grandfather. Your grandfather, in my case, his name was Daniel. And my cousin and I, his name is Danny. Danny and I both came from Daniel, my grandfather. But I didn't come from Danny, and Danny didn't come from me. The fact that chimpanzees and monkeys are still here shows you also that we didn't come, from them. Anyway, this is a mistaken picture. And what they need to see is this. They need to see a tree of life. Now these guys have beautiful t-shirts and posters. I have this poster in my classroom. I have a ton of t-shirts behind me, but then we went virtual, so I haven't been able to give them away at workshops. And so what you see here is the tree of life. And what you can do, and what the students can do, is pick on, say, I don't know, salamanders, and it'll go back in time, back in time, back in time, and show you what the common ancestor of the human and the salamander look like, and how far back it went. Okay, so that's the first. This is very colorful. It's better for younger kids. That is the first of the several websites that you can use for this. The second amazing website is called OneZoom. Look at the easy question I'm asking here. What is your favorite animal? And the reason is this website is so amazing that kids get lost in it. But it's just something you got to see. They have put every single living thing, and I mean the archaea, the bacteria, everything. Let me zoom out for you. Every living thing is on this website. How amazing is that? So yes, you could absolutely get lost. We're leaving the animals behind. There's the eukaryotes, and there's all life. So that's the whole tree. Okay, so you have your eubacteria over here, and we are actually more related to the archaea. There's the archaea going off in one direction. And then eukaryotes are all the way down here. And now the other way to find stuff, let's say bighorn sheep, you hit search and it'll go zoom, 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 zoom. No sound effects, I'm making those up. And it takes you to the bighorn sheep. It's really an amazing website. And if you'll see my name there, sponsored for Brendan Gruff by Bertha Vasquez, that's my son, and that's his favorite animal. So you can also play a role helping these guys fund this things, because not every leaf, so it's a tree, right? Not every leaf has pictures, for example. So they're working on it and they're looking for money so you can sponsor a leaf like that, for example. So that's another amazing one. And I'm going to talk a little bit now about something I added to the high school one that is not here in the middle school one, because I think the most amazing, hands down, website to teach this tree of life and to teach what's called phylogenetics is this. This is Nova Evolution Labs. So it is in our resources in the webpage, and it is in the high school one. It is not in the middle school one, but it's really easy to find, either going through the TIES page, which is the Walmart of evolution education, right? Everything's there, or go straight to Nova Evolution Labs. So you click on play game. If you go in as a guest, you lose your progress. So if you're doing this with your classes, they may want to sign in, because if you do it over 2 days time, they'll have to start all over. I'm not going to show you every video and stuff that I have in this presentation.
Variation. If organisms.
But these videos are some of the most beautiful videos, most beautiful art I've ever seen in science videos. What I do want to show you is how to play the game. So let's start with this one. Oh, there's another video. But anyway, watch how the kids can learn that you can put the palm tree on the right side, or you can put the palm tree on the left side. And then this is what's called the derived character here. And did this character evolve before these two organisms did? It most definitely did. The kids might do that and think that palm trees don't have cells with nuclei, but the object of the game is to get the little circles to the top. So yes, they both have nucleated cells. Now, where is this mushroom gonna go? If you can't move the mushroom, that means they want you to learn about one of the organisms or all of the organisms. And mind you, this is where the kids find the answers if they don't know the answers. And if they were to look at the mushroom, which you know they're probably not going to, it says that the mushroom is heterotrophic and cannot make its own food. But I'm going to bet my money on them putting the mushroom there, because it looks like the palm tree, right? And what it helps them understand is that it could also be there. And then here is a photosynthetic autotroph, but let's say they make a mistake and they put that there and they put heterotrophic there. We have a problem because the circles are not all making it to the top. What they'll finally realize is that through trial and error, oh, still messed up. Now they're going to go, what's going on? Well, let's move the mushroom over there. Ta-da! And it made it. It's important to emphasize that the gecko and the mushroom are equally distant or equally related to the palm tree because their ancestors broke away from the ancestors of the palm tree at the same time. So what they're gonna submit, you're gonna hit next, and you continue playing the game. So dog, goldfish, king snake, stick insects probably way out there, but they could really mess around with this. I find when I do this in class that the kids who do well on this are not necessarily the kids who do well in the class in general. So it's a very interesting exercise. So that's called Nova Evolution Labs. There's a big focus on phylogenetics and cladistics in the high school, right? And we need to move away from this idea of, these categories now that we have DNA, and DNA is really driving our understanding of relatedness. For example, the birds are not in their own category anymore. The birds are deep inside the clades of reptilia because that's kind of where they belong. We want to put things where they're most related to the things around them. So I tell my kids this idea, these things are changing by the day, and some of the things that I've taught them in middle school will not be the same when they get to high school and college. So at this point, they have a different understanding, and hopefully that image of that ladder of progress, which is so pervasive in our society and the source of so many misunderstandings, can slowly slip away. So now we need two more things to cover our Florida standards. The first one is understand that evolution is, explains diversity and common ancestry. Now we got to talk about evidence for evolution and what is the mechanism that changed living things over time. So evidence for evolution, we have fossils. Here they watch videos on fossils and answer questions. We have comparative anatomy. Here they look at these structures and they draw conclusions based on what they see. Nature does not reinvent. Nature retools. All these organisms share a common ancestor with a similar forelimb. The bat retooled it, the human retooled it, etc. Let's look at embryos. They're going to have to try to put these embryos in order. This is very difficult to do, so I do not have points in the rubric for this. We're going to look at this amazing video of proof of evolution that you can find in your own body to cover vestigial structures. This is one of the best videos in the PowerPoint, in the presentation. We often think of evolution as something out there. I look out the window and I'm seeing it out there, like these little lizards on my tree. Who is more closely related to whom? But there's a lot of evidence for evolution in our own bodies. For example, goosebumps. How do we explain goosebumps without understanding natural selection? And then, of course, there's the evidence coming from geology, the law of superposition. So here is a lesson being taught online by one of the nation's best science teachers, and they get a question there. And then here's a couple puzzles for them. On the left, they're trying to figure out who stole the cookie by figuring out who was the last person to leave the house based on footprints and tire tracks and stuff. And then on the right, you have an actual picture diagram of the principle of superposition. That's a little tougher. You might want to take it easy on them in terms of grading that one. I love Your Inner Fish. It is a beautiful resource by Dr. Neil Shubin. He's at the University of Chicago. And he describes it this way. In lower or older rock, you're going to find a thing with the head, followed by the thing with the head and the feet, followed by the thing with the head, the feet, and the fur, followed by the thing, the head, the feet, the fur, the opposable thumb, and the big brain. They asked Jabius Haldane, what would make you change your mind about evolution? And he said, find me a rabbit fossil in Precambrian rock. It's never been done. We've never found a fossil in the wrong place. So that's pretty powerful evidence. We have artificial selection. We've done it ourselves. Just look at my buddy behind me there, that little dog on the chair. He thinks he's a wolf, that little dog. He acts like a wolf. He looks for his den. He looks for me at night. He fetches, he barks, he protects us. He thinks he's a wolf. So here in this slide, students will be going to some games. There's games to select for corn, like to make corn or tomatoes or dogs. They could choose the one they like better. And I stress to students, there's no such thing as wild corn. There's no such thing as wild broccoli. These are things that we have made over generations of humans. We've artificially selected for these things. So here's a break a little bit from the videos. They're playing some games. And then, of course, today, there's so much evidence for evolution in genetics that we could really, the rest of it is kind of icing on the cake. And so here, this biologist is going to, in this video here, compare the genome or the nucleotide base pairing of a chimpanzee and a human and see how close it is. I would like to stress, sometimes the question of religion comes up when you teach evolution. And in the regular teacher guided unit, I have a slide that covers genetics with this biologist and the author of my textbook, Kenneth Miller. And when the idea of religion comes up in class, I say, kids, look, Dr. Kenneth Miller is a devout Catholic. He goes to church every Sunday. Dr. Richard Dawkins here in this photo is a non-believer. And I say, if you were lucky enough to have one of these two biologists, world-renowned biologists, teaching this unit instead of me, just a middle school science teacher, if you were lucky enough to have one of these guys teach this, there would be no difference in the information they present to you. As a matter of fact, Richard Dawkins will give Kenneth Miller's book to his friends, his religious friends that don't understand evolution. He gives them Kenneth's book. It's called Finding Darwin's God. There's another excellent book by Francis Collins, who is the head of the Human Genome Project. And these books help people understand that someone like, Kenneth Miller, there shouldn't be an issue. Evolution helps explain how life evolved on Earth. And I also stress that in class too. It doesn't talk about the origin of life. We have hypotheses about the origin of life, but evolution is everything that happened after that point. Lots of evidence for that. Now, that's just a video comparing human and chimpanzee DNA. Now let's have the kids do it a little bit. Let's have them compare amino acid sequences among these organisms, and let's have them compare DNA or nucleotide sequences among these organisms and draw some conclusions. Now that ends evidence for evolution. We went through fossils, law of superposition, vestigial structures, homologous structures, genetic evidence. I'm sure I'm forgetting one. There's like 7 of them. But if you click here, biogeography is covered here. If you click here, this is a summary of everything I just covered. This guy makes beautiful, beautiful videos. It's called Stated Clearly, his YouTube channel. So I had to throw him in there. So now we talked about what is evolution and the many types of evidence for evolution. And now we're going to talk about the primary mechanism for that change over time, which is natural selection. This is my favorite video in this presentation. And there are timestamps here, and the kids have to stop and answer these questions. I've also discovered a very good version of this on Edpuzzle. If you haven't discovered Edpuzzle yet, I highly recommend it. On there are videos, and other teachers have created questions where the kids have to stop, answer questions as they go through the video. And you have a grade book on Edpuzzle. You could create a class and get grades from the kids. So it's a really nice way for them to review material, say, before a test. So if you don't want to answer so many, like grade so many things that are handwritten by students, I know that's kind of tedious, you can use Edpuzzle, and this one happens to be there. If we have time at the end, that's one I'd really like to share, but I know you can play around with this later on your own. So I just wanted to give you the general overview. No science unit is complete without the Amoeba Sisters. I don't know if you know about them, but these guys are awesome. They have companion worksheets for a lot of their videos, and I love the Amoeba Sisters. They're a couple ladies in Texas, teachers in Texas, and they do a wonderful job. They have a biology review for the EOC, which is outstanding. I tell the kids, if I get hit by a truck, they have nothing to worry about. They just have to hire, watch all the Amoeba Sisters, and they'll be good. Wow. This is a beautiful example of natural selection. These scientists put bacteria on this giant Petri dish, and they watched it change over time to get to the center of the Petri dish, which had like 1,000 times the amount of antibiotics that this bacteria could usually withstand. I highly recommend this video. And again, it's all easy for you and embedded. Now it's time to kind of assess if they understood everything from these different videos and little activities. My dog had fleas. This is true. Not the dog behind me, another dog. I spent $78 on flea medicine, the stuff that goes on her neck. It didn't work. And when I went to the vet, she said, oh yeah, that stuff doesn't work anymore. She actually said, ah, sí, eso ya no funciona, because I'm in Miami. And I want the kids to tell me why, what happened? What caused the fleas to become resistant? And the key here is that you want them to understand that it was a random mutation that led the fleas to be resistant. Some of the fleas, the fleas that got that random mutation survived, produced offspring. The fleas who didn't get the random mutation most likely died out in the presence of that medication. Now that's just, they got lucky. I tell the kids, beavers don't stand next to trees. Chainsaw, please give me a chainsaw. That's not how evolution works. You don't get what you want. It's just a accumulation of random mutations, beneficial random mutations over time, which leads to the amazing variety of life that you see today. What you're not seeing are all the organisms, individuals within populations that didn't make it. You're seeing the ones who won the lottery. You're not seeing the millions of individuals who did not win the lottery. And that's why it looks so darn amazing. Okay, so let's find out a little bit about Charles Darwin, shall we? And that's a little period piece. It's a little movie with actors and stuff like that. And then here I have added a couple just for fun. Some scientists in Siberia have made a dog out of foxes, fur trade foxes. So it's an amazing example of artificial selection. And then this is an amazing example of vestigial structures. And I do warn teachers that this is a rather graphic video where a dead giraffe is being dissected. But you see, we have a nerve that goes from your brain to your vocal cords. And one side of your body is called the recurrent laryngeal nerve. On one side of your body, it goes from your brain to your vocal cords, your neck area. On the other side of your body, it goes from your brain down around some of the major arteries of the heart and back up to the neck again. In a human, it's kind of silly. In a giraffe, it's outright crazy. And in a dinosaur like this one pictured here, it's insane. So why do we have this? Well, that nerve originally innervated the gills of fish. And over time, it took a rather circuitous path to our vocal cords today. Excellent video as well. So what does the high school one have? I'll show you quickly here. What does the high school one have that the middle school one does not have? What are we adding in high school? For starters, I put Darwin at the top. But secondly, here is that Nova Evolution Lab that I showed you, because it talks about DNA and evidence for evolution. And so I'm making the high school kids go a little bit deeper into cladistics and phylogenetics here. And then the evidence for evolution, all that jazz is the same. But when you get here, sorry for scrolling so fast, we have to talk in high school about types of natural selection, not just natural selection in general. So, and we have to talk about natural selection being not the only mechanism for evolution. So you have to talk about gene pool, gene flow and genetic drift. And we have to hit human evolution. So that's what that's about right there. And then it ends the same way. I am sorry that I did not have time to stop and show you every video and everything else. But since you could download this for free and play around with it, I thought, you know, you guys could do that on your own. I know that's a lot of information in a very short period of time. Wow, lots more people here now. Hi, everybody. So I hope that I covered it. I wanted to stay true to your 30 to 40 minutes, Amy. I'm going to put my email on here. Oops, wrong email. I am at your service, everybody. If you need anything, there you go. I can send you the modifiable versions of this. Ooh, wow, you are cool, Amy. You're so amazing. Okay, so I'm going to give away 3 books called Human Errors. And whoever wins has to email me their address. I put the email in the chat, and I will send it straight to your homes. Angel D, woo! Angel D, email me. Let's see. How cool is this? Barbara, woohoo! I can't rhyme Barbara with email me, but yay, Barbara! Can you tell we're teachers doing all this silly stuff? Let's see, who's the last person? Daniel K. Send an email my way. How cool. Ladies, email me and I will send you Human Errors by Dr. Nathan Lentz. And he is also willing to do presentations. He's doing one for us this weekend in Alabama. He's a really great professor. He's in City College, New York.
Yes, so I just put the first initial of the last name. So yes, that was you. All right, so I'm going to, if you have questions, you can ask questions, but I'm going to turn off the recording. So let me find my recording. Stop recording.